Hello, I'm Ray Bradley. Tonight on Mastery Journal, a profile of reinvention, discipline, and the long road between ambition and accomplishment. It is the story of a man standing at the edge of a new creative life, asking whether experience, failure, service, and imagination can be shaped into something lasting. Tonight, we look at Tobias Hawthorne, a creative writing MFA student at Full Sail University. His goal is specific: to become a professional science fiction writer and narrative designer, building stories for television, film, games, and major genre entertainment. But Hawthorne's journey did not begin in a writer's room. It began with military service, teaching, visual art, mentorship, and years of building fictional worlds. For Tobias Hawthorne, this is not a story about just wanting to write. His story began here, on the battlefield. After exemplary service in the United States Army, he turned his attention to the classroom. Here he helped mentor young minds into thinking creatively and critically. Some of his former students have said that his classroom is now part of their core memories. That alone is not where he sets himself apart. He says he likes to bring with him the discipline of a soldier, the eye of an art teacher, and the patience of a mentor. Tobias invited us to his house for this interview, out in the North Carolina sun, far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Mr. Hawthorne, thank you for speaking with us. You've served, you've taught, you've created, and now you're trying to turn all of that into a professional path. That is not a small ambition. So the first question is simple. What does mastery look like for Tobias Hawthorne?
I just said you're going to start with an easy one. What does mastery mean for me? Well, for me, mastery means that you're actually pursuing not only your goal, but that it's also your passion and your ambition. And it's everything that pretty much your soul desires. Which I guess is a very philosophical way of putting it.
When you look at your long-term future, what is the career goal you are working toward?
My goal is to become a professional science fiction writer and narrative designer. I want to create character-driven stories for television, film, games, I'm especially drawn to franchises like Star Trek and Godzilla, Gamera, Transformers, because those are the kind of stories that shaped how I think about worlds, characters, duty, monsters, machines, moral conflict. But my goal is not only to work inside those existing franchises, I also want to develop my own original science fiction worlds that can be compared to those and make as long-lasting an impact as those.
Mr. Hawthorne, long-term ambition is one thing, but graduation is much closer on the horizon. By the time you complete this MFA program, what concrete goal do you intend to accomplish?
By graduation, my objective is to have a clean, creative portfolio. A portfolio that includes a polished science fiction script sample, a story bible, character profiles, and at least one narrative design sample. Full Sail's creative MFA course path supports this goal thoroughly, and through all its courses and visual storytelling, character development, script analysis, episodic serial writing, writing for film, animation, writing for games, multimedia adaptation, portfolio development, and just the whole business of creative writing itself. And that is something I am very eager to get my hands into.
Mr. Hawthorne, writers often fall in love with their own ideas. But design thinking asks a harder question. Does the idea actually work for the audience? How do you plan to test, revise, and strengthen your stories without losing the heart of what made you believe in them in the first place?
Well, design thinking also plays a big part of my plan. Process asks creators to think about what the audience needs, test those ideas, revive, and solve problems on creativity. For me, this means not protecting the idea simply because I love it. It means asking whether or not this story actually works, whether or not the audience actually can appreciate subtext that we are attempting to impart, whether the emotional stakes are actually strong enough for the audience to understand it or even care.
What are the concrete steps you plan to take to get from student to working creative professional?
That was a good question, right? My plan has 6 steps. First, of course, is to complete the MFA with focus on building usable portfolio material. Second, I need to write and revise the polished science fiction script sample. Third, I definitely need to build a story Bible or an original science fiction property of my own. Fourth, I need to create a narrative design sample that shows world building and net mission structure and character goals and, character player choice. Fifth, I need to build a professional visibility through LinkedIn, and through my mastery journal here, through YouTube, and eventually through a portfolio site. Six, I will need a network with intention of connecting with mentors and following industry organizations and pursuing internships and or apprenticeships in film, television, games, and of course, franchise storytelling. Because that is the ultimate goal is to become an industry professional and a leader in the industry.
Mr. Hawthorne, every creative career depends on more than the work itself. It depends on access, relationships, and learning where the doors are. How do Full Sail, industry organizations, and your professional network help you find those doors and prepare to walk through them?
Well, industry organizations can help me understand professional standards, expectations. The Writers Guild Foundation connects to screenwriting history and craft and writer's room actual knowledge there that you don't know what you don't know. IGDA connects the game writing with the narrative design, and LinkedIn helps me follow professionals, companies, and potential mentors who are already working in that field. Full Sail gives me structured assignments, instructor feedback, peer review, and a community where I can practice my professional communication. My ultimate goal here is to treat every Clash project as part of a larger portfolio, not just some schoolwork to turn in for an assignment.
We have seen Tobias Hawthorne's mastery journey is not a straight line. It is a timeline built from service, teaching, storytelling, discipline, and revision. His next step is clear: build the portfolio, grow the network, and keep moving toward the work. In the end, mastery is not granted by ambition alone. It is earned through practice, reflection, and the decision to finish. For Mastery Journal, I'm Ray Bradley.